Secret gay sex scandal explodes in Republican Party as closeted congressman who's engaged to a woman is accused of sordid double life. A secret gay sex scandal has rocked the Republican Party as married men and a sitting member of Congress have been accused of sleeping with male escorts, even as their party thunders about traditional family values. In candid interviews, young, muscular sex workers in Washington, D.C. described a booming business fueled by Republican officials, from state lawmakers and high-powered lobbyists to federal government staffers and at least one congressman. Is it bad that the first thought in my head is, I don't really care if they're fucking gay prostitutes, at least it's not children like the other people in Congress, like traditional homosexual values. You swear this story happens once every 4 years? Yeah, it feels like it happens pretty frequently, man. Proof that Republicans aren't homophobic. The revelations come as the GOP faces renewed scrutiny over its hypocrisy on homosexuality, publicly championing the traditional nuclear family while privately indulging in the very behavior many Republicans denounce. One DC-based male escort describes having a 2-year relationship with a sitting Midwestern congressman who, during that period, had multiple serious girlfriends. If you're trying to get a traditional woman, if you fucked men, you're not gonna get a traditional woman. That is like the fastest way to like kneecap yourself in trying to find a woman who has traditional values. She is going to find that a bit disgusting. The 29-year-old sex worker with a boy next door looks described dinners at downtown DC eatery Butterworth's, a popular MAGA haunt, followed by late nights, he told the Daily Mail, on the condition that neither man was identified. The unnamed lawmaker is closeted, cautious, and carried the weight of a public image that left no room for who he really was, the escort said. So, we're just getting like an anonymous report from an escort? This could be literally, it came to me in a dream and I'm making shit up. Like there's no credibility here.
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
It's gotten difficult to ignore the dissonance between the man I know in private and the votes he casts publicly. He said the Republican is now engaged to a woman. Another escort, a 35-year-old with chiseled features and a bodybuilder's physique, was also candid. He described officials in the federal government, a state senator, and lobbyists among his clients. I'm just gonna say this right now. If I have like male escorts somewhere in my audience and I end up finding a himbo in the future and my himbo gets your services, I want to know about it, man. If I can, don't keep that shit. I want to know. All right. If I can boy next door, don't take Anaki's name in vain. I see a lot of Republican clients on the low, he said. I'm not going to out my clients, but there are many in the Republican Party. The revelations echo comments from Grindr CEO George Aurison, who revealed his app sees dramatic surges in activity during major Republican gatherings, including a significant spike at the party's July 2024 convention in Milwaukee. You know, I feel like no one is as homophobic as other gay people, let's be real. The shit Tangerine has said to me is wild. Local users reported seeing many more blank profiles than usual, the telltale sign of men seeking discreet encounters without revealing their names or faces, when thousands of buttoned-up conservatives descended on the Midwestern city. You know, I feel like a lot of these people, right, like if this story is true, if we're gonna take this with any ounce of credibility, I feel like what Asmongold said rings very fucking true. Let me go find it, because I quote retweeted it. We treated it pretending I'm a grug, because it's like, you have to be fucking dense to not understand this message. I said in response to this, biggest grug with speakbox say the true. Why other speakbox grug no do? True mystery.
I think that as a content creator, this is just like my opinion.
It's like my opinion, man.
If their age starts with 1, and your age starts with 3, stop. Just stop.
It's like the same can be said to like high-profile politicians getting implicated in weird sex things. Like, you know you're a high-profile person. How about you just fucking don't? How about just stop? Like these content creators that get outed for like sex scandals every couple of years. Maybe just don't do that. How do you not have the foresight to be like, I am a public figure. Anything I say can and will be used against me in the public court of Twitter. Like, holy shit, bro. If you're over 30 and play Roblox, it's time to stop.
It doesn't matter what the reason is or anything else, just stop. Someone under? Yeah. And it's happened before? Yeah, sure. And it's too big to fail at this point? Is it too big to fail? No. No, Leonardo DiCaprio disagrees with
I don't know if he continues to anything. I can't remember.
Usually he dates women that are in their early 20s. I mean, to be fair.
That is to be fair.
Actually he doesn't. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying in general. 19 and 3? Yeah, sure. Your age divided by 2 plus 7? I don't even agree with that.
I can't do math.
I don't. I mean, like, I think that really people just need to stop going, and it's like, especially if you're like a content creator with a big audience, doing this is just, you're making a mistake by doing this. Mm-hmm. It's not too big to fail. Look what's happening in Cracker Barrel. I mean, to be fair, Roblox is a lot bigger than Cracker Barrel.
That's also true. But it's like, if you have a public image, like, why would you ever think you could do something crazy and creepy and weird and get away with it, man? It's not the first time similar surges have been recorded at other GOP gatherings over the years, suggesting that for some Republican attendees, the party's national meetings double as covert dating events. You see, they're trying to be like, okay, blank profiles heat up on Grindr during these Republican gatherings. It could be that some of the Republicans are making, you know, some fucking hookup accounts, right? But it also could be a lot of people being like, there's a GOP gathering in town. Fuck those homophobic, racist, old white men. We're gonna suck 50 dicks for every one of those cretins that enters our town. You know? There are people that think like that. The GOP's 2024 platform quietly dropped explicit condemnations of same-sex marriage, a striking shift from past years. But the party remains heavily influenced by religious conservatives who view homosexuality as sinful, immoral, or socially destructive. Damn, that restaurant looks nice. I'd eat there. House Speaker Mike Johnson has controversially called same-sex marriage the dark harbinger of chaos and sexual anarchy, and once described homosexuality as inherently unnatural and a dangerous lifestyle. LGBTQ advocates say such rhetoric makes the GOP inherently anti-gay, despite signs of modernization. They point to the Trump administration's record rolling back protections for transgender people, pushing book bans for titles with LGBTQ themes, and supporting laws restricting gender-affirming care for minors. You know what's crazy to me? You know what's crazy about that entire sentence? None of that has to do with being gay, and none of that is anti-gay. That's crazy that their argument for the GOP being anti-gay entirely revolves around transgender children. That's a little wild to me. President Donald Trump himself is widely considered, I mean, both kind of work, widely considered personally tolerant, even welcoming toward gay people. He has attended same-sex weddings, waved a rainbow flag at rallies, and appointed openly gay officials, including current Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who's been married to attorney John Freeman since 2011. I would say that is resoundingly not anti-gay. Actually, Trump is also a mega fan of the Village People, the gay disco group. Look at all of the things you can do and still be called anti-gay. There is literally no fucking winning against ideologues. He never makes a big deal about the fact that they're gay, and that's why these people hate him. Still, no amount of rainbow flag waving at the top can erase decades of Republican scandals. Why is there just a picture of some guy's fucking crotch here? What the fuck? What the fuck? The party has repeatedly been rocked by politicians who denounce homosexuality by day, only to be caught in compromising situations by night. Which, they're fucking retarded for doing that. The cases are infamous. Larry Craig, the Republican senator from Idaho who campaigned on family values, was arrested in 2007 for allegedly soliciting sex from an undercover police officer in a Minneapolis airport bathroom. Why would you do that? Craig denied wrongdoing, but did not seek re-election. Ed Schrock, a Virginia Republican congressman and Baptist church president, withdrew from his 2004 re-election bid after recordings surfaced of him allegedly seeking sex with a man via a hookup phone service, despite opposing changes to allow gay people to serve openly in the military. Why would you go to a phone hookup service if you are a publicly profiled person?
Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
For critics, each scandal reinforces the charge of hypocrisy, Republicans invoking scripture and protecting the children while engaging in the very behaviors they seek to legislate against. There have also been similar scandals involving Democrats. Congressional aide Aiden Mace-Serzopsky was fired in 2023 over an amateur sex tape, but they are less controversial given the party's embrace of LGBTQ issues. I can't believe they're just like, yeah, this guy was fired for making an amateur sex tape, but that's less controversial because they're openly gay. Oh, holy fuck, man. Literally, it's okay when we do it. The Milwaukee Surge offered a rare data-driven glimpse into what happens once the speeches conclude and the after-parties begin. It's just like after convention parties, for real, for real. Arison did not release exact numbers, but one analysis revealed a 166% jump in Grindr activity during the convention. There was a definite spike in usage, Arison told Unheard, adding Grindr's user base is very diverse, including card-carrying Republicans. High-profile GOP figures such as Besant, he noted, show that gays are achieving a level of acceptance in society that is positive. But he added, there's no way to get around the fact that there are people on the right who are not yet okay with gay people. They might be tolerant, but they're not in any way supportive, and frankly, they would want to take away rights in a way that would be very, very problematic. Isn't tolerance what was strived for? Why would you force someone to be supportive? That's a little weird. The contradictions in the GOP ranks go back decades. In the late 1970s, California conservatives pushed the Briggs Initiative to bar gay and lesbian teachers from public schools, a move so extreme that even Ronald Reagan opposed it. It was during this period that the Log Cabin Republicans, the party's first major gay advocacy group, was formed, but acceptance remained elusive. You see, that's interesting that California conservatives were trying to bar gay and lesbian teachers, and in current year, we now have all these teachers trying to teach that, if you think you're a little girl, then you can become one even though you're a little boy. That's a little interesting. Once again, gay people suffering for a different ideology. This is why people said it was a slippery slope. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Republican officials could still derail a rival's career with mere insinuations of homosexuality. That culture of fear, secrecy, and public condemnation created fertile ground for double lives, a pattern still visible today. Well, I mean, clearly their careers still get derailed because they're having like a hidden secret double gay life. And when that comes out, they can't exactly run, you know? Some insiders believe the GOP is slowly evolving. Others argue that the party's mixed messaging, softening its stance on marriage while still vilifying queer culture, leaves the party with the worst of both worlds, alienating progressives while breeding distrust among younger conservatives who value authenticity over moral posturing. This latter part is very true, but if there's anyone running on the right that believes they can have any progressive vote for them, I want to know what kind of Hayakusa one-shotting type drugs they're taking. I don't want progressives in the party. What the fuck is that? Yeah, that's crazy. Like, just by the nature of being in the GOP, you're alienating progressives. What the fuck do they mean by this? Meanwhile, location-based apps like Grindr make secrecy harder than ever. With GPS matchmaking, it's difficult to slip into a city without leaving a digital trace. It's not even the digital trace you have to be worried about, man. Like, if you are a public figure, nevertheless a politician, and you're like trying to have some secret double gay life, there's literally nothing preventing the person you hook up with from being like, hey, yo, I just had gay sex with this Republican guy. You know, like literally. Just don't be man whores. How is this so hard? It's crazy to me. The latest scandal comes less than 2 years after the Senate was rocked by another one involving the Democratic Party. Congressional aide Aiden Serzopsky,
what the hell is this?
24, was fired over the emergence of a sex tape inside a Senate hearing room. Oh my god. See, I recognize the situation. I just didn't know the guy's name. The video depicts a graphic sex act that was reportedly leaked after being shared in a private group for gay men in politics. While not confirmed to be one of the men, Mais Serzopsky was publicly connected to the congressional hearing clip and is no longer employed by the Senate. In a post to social media, he admitted he'd shown poor judgment. The whole hypocrisy thing is way overblown and a red herring anyways, as if he can't be a degenerate in private but have different public policy views for the good of society. Also true. Also true and real. And it's like any time like one of these things comes out where they're just like, look at what this person does sexually in private, I'm kind of like, yeah, but they were keeping it private. You're the one making it public. If someone is attempting to keep whatever kind of like shit they sexually do private, that should be their own right. You know? Like, even if it's something I would make fun of someone for doing, if they're doing it in private, why should I give a shit? Because they're not trying to make it public. Dems in disarray, the DFL revocation of Fateh endorsement polarizes party. And if you are not familiar with Omar Fateh, I have a tweet for that as well that I quote retweeted the other day. So I took the screenshot because this is wild. Dude looks fucking demonic. But this is from End Wokeness. This is a political rally in America 2025. And this is people, I guess, on Omar Fateh's side. And this is Omar looking like a demon in the background. This is an American politician in 2025 in Minnesota. And it says DFL endorsed candidate for Minneapolis mayor.
Congresswoman at the Shane.
Yeah.
Sida nakasawada bahanay. Haddaba Umar waan ka xumahayo. Virginia qaboba lagu dhalay. Laakiin sawaan adopt gareynay. Sidarna wax badan ma joogine. So
it's the state of American politics in current year, as it were. And the DFL revoked their endorsement of that man. I'm shocked, actually, like unironically shocked. Because why would they remove, right? Why would they remove their endorsement of this guy? But Zoran Mamdani is just fucking cruising along in New York City, man. What the heck? What had been a polarizing election for Minneapolis mayor has exploded into a full-blown political crisis for the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. U.S. Rep. Ilhan Omar and a group of prominent Minnesota Democrats Thursday released a statement condemning the state party for revoking the DFL convention endorsement of mayoral candidate Senator Omar Fateh, who would be the city's first Somali-American mayor if elected in November. Hot take. If you have a hyphenated American, like, for your identity, you should not be serving in our government. You should just be an American, no hyphenations. A small group of DFL board members, a majority living outside Minneapolis, met privately to overturn the will of Minneapolis delegates who volunteered, organized, and participated in a months-long DFL process. It is inexcusable to overturn the results weeks after the convention because the board members did not like the outcome, wrote the group, which also comprised of state senators Zainab Mohammed and Doron Clark, state reps Aisha Gomez, Fue Lee, Mohammed Noor, Sidney Jordan, and Esther Agbajai, and several members of the City Council and Hennepin County Board. The statement notes a majority of the DFL committee that revoked the endorsement Thursday don't live in Minneapolis, while also drawing an ideological contrast between progressive Democrats who are challenging the status quo and moderate Democrats. It also alleges blatant corruption via the influence of big money in our politics. Though his name goes unmentioned, the statement in a pointed rebuke of state DFL chair Richard Carlbaum, who was handpicked by Governor Tim Walz to succeed current DNC chair Ken Martin. The ruling and report released on Thursday from the state party following a formal complaint by the Frey campaign paints a portrait of a convention so dysfunctional that the Minneapolis DFL is on probation for 2 years. Carlbaum reached for comedy with an anodyne statement announcing the decision, telling Democrats to move on. Now it's time to turn our focus to unity and our common goal. Electing DFL leaders focused on making life more affordable for Minnesotans and holding Republicans accountable for the chaos and confusion they've unleashed on Minnesotans. What a fucking wild thing to say after this state has been completely destroyed by Democratic policy for who knows how fucking long. That is insane to say. Holy shit. Not so, Omar and the progressives responded in a thunderous finale. This decision will be a stain on our party for years to come and damage our ability to organize for Democratic wins this year, next year, and beyond. I mean, nobody really cared how the Democratic Party fucked over Bernie Sanders either, so I don't know how many people are going to remember this in even a few months. Let's be real. Unions backing Fateh, including SEIU and Unite Here, called a Friday press conference an ominous sign for a party where the L in DFL is still a major source of campaign foot soldiers and money. Carbaum's ties to Mayor Jacob Frey, whose campaign launched the challenge, only fueled suspicions about a cozy relationship between the state party and the incumbent, the firm of which Carbaum was a partner until 2023. United Strategies has received some $30,000 in consulting fees from the Frey campaign this year. Carbaum seems to have been in a difficult spot, however. The report details an electronic voting system that the committee calls substantially flawed. The narrative describes an old version of the spreadsheet software Excel, powered by broken formulas, and a massive undercounting during the first round of voting. Hours of challenges and delay followed. The credential sheet was left unsecured and apparently accessed by people who shouldn't have had access, including the campaigns. Another candidate, Dwayne Davis, secured enough votes to move on to the next round, but was wrongly excluded. The entire Ward 5 credentials book was lost. The final vote was a show of hands. I somehow doubt that, Excel could be powered by broken formula, but the rest of this kind of checks out, where everybody involved in looking over the situation is just massively incompetent or acting maliciously. You were assured by every Democrat that this sort of thing never happens. Yeah, the thing that never happens has happened again. I'm so surprised. For Fateh defenders, the convention problems and the entire challenge are all noise because they insist Frey has no chance to win, while Fateh merely needed to consolidate the anti-Frey delegates for the victory they now say has been unjustly revoked. Now, Carbaum and other prominent Democrats must deal with the potential fallout, which could anger progressives across the river and into the newly blue suburbs. Even if the rage were to remain local, however, the consequences could be substantial. The 5th Congressional District, which encompasses Minneapolis, delivered 293,000 votes to Vice President Kamala Harris last year, some 40,000 more than the DFL-rich 3rd and 4th districts. If progressives stay home next year or even feel less inclined to volunteer, that could help Republicans achieve their first statewide win in 20 years. Jeff Blodgett, a longtime DFL consultant who managed the campaigns of the late Senator Paul Wellstone, said he's confident Democrats will find unity out of purpose next year. The stakes in those elections are so high that I don't think people are going to boycott them due to frustrations with the intra-party DFL controversies. He called Carbaum a dynamic chair who is leading a state DFL that is well-funded and doing off-year organizing and messaging that will pay off next year. I'm a little interested that the people in Omar Fateh's corner were thinking that his victory was entirely assured. And it's also interesting how all of the Democrats are like, nah, it's fine. Nobody will pay attention to this. Don't worry about it. And it's just, I don't know. Both of these attitudes are very interesting to me. Still, the divisive mayoral race is just the latest challenge to beset Democrats, the list of mistakes and misfortunes growing seemingly by the day. From the farcical, a state senator's second drunk driving arrest while in office, the felony conviction of a different state senator, to the tragic in the form of the assassination of House DFL leader Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark. And if we all remember, the crazy fucking guy who went and shot them apparently penned a letter saying how it's all Tim Walz's fault. The party also has real substantial differences it must either resolve or more likely learn to live with. Israel's war on Gaza, for instance, has riven the party, often along demographic lines, with young progressives supporting the boycott, divest and sanctions movement and accusing older Democrats like Amy Klobuchar, who has also endorsed Frey, of complicity in genocide. The DFL struggles after a long run of governance, evokes some similarities to the National Democrats of the late 1960s, a party dominant since FDR's New Deal, but then exhausted and fractured by the Vietnam War, civil unrest, and urban disorder, changing demographics, racial struggle, countercultural antithesis, and the murder of beloved leaders. The climactic scene of 1968 also took place at a political convention, this one in Chicago, where the emerging New Left were embittered at the defeat of their insurgent anti-war candidate, Senator Eugene McCarthy. What followed was a period of Republican dominance that has helped shape the country we live in today. You know, that's interesting that they bring up, like, Republican dominance since the 1960s, because for my entire life, I just feel like it's been more of a uniparty. You know, like I can't really see much of a difference between the warmongers on either side of the aisle, you know? What's going on in Minneapolis? Muslim call to prayer will now be broadcast over city loudspeakers as early as 3:30 a.m. and as late as 11 p.m.
City of Minneapolis changed its noise ordinance, now allowing the Islamic call to prayer to be broadcast from speakers year-round 5 times a day. In tonight's Weekend Journal, David Schumann of WCCO reports it is a first for a major U.S. city.
The Muslim call to prayer, recited in here, heard out there.
It is a very
5 times a day, Muslims gather to pray at mosques, but the broadcast for the pre-dawn and nighttime prayers weren't allowed in Minneapolis until now. The city eliminated time constraints from the part of its noise ordinance related to religious worship. In the summer, that means the call could go out as early as 3:30 a.m. and as late as 11 p.m.
So, I find that a little weird, because while I'm cruising around outside, I don't want to hear no fucking Muslim call to prayer, just as much as I don't want to hear no Christian prayers while I'm out in public. You can have your prayers in your houses of worship, but I should not be subjected to them while I'm wandering around outside, just going about my life, man. If I worked the late shift, I would sue the city. You people better nip this shit in the ass now, before you're all wearing burqas. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. The caliphate of Minnesota, it begins. 4 African countries to get official hometowns and a special visa category in Japan under a migration deal. The government of Japan has designated 4 cities as official hometowns for residents of 4 African countries, from Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique, offering a special visa scheme. The concept is similar to Chinatowns or Little Italies in the United States. Boy. Under the initiative, the Japan International Cooperation Agency has assigned Kisarazu in Chiba Prefecture as the hometown for Nigerians, Nagai in Yamagata for Tanzanians, Sanjo in Niigata for Ghanans, and Imabari in Ehime for Mozambicans. Announced on the sidelines of the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, held in Yokohama from August 20th to 23rd, 2025, the initiative forms part of Japan's strategic effort to strengthen bilateral ties with African nations, promote cultural exchange, and address labor market challenges arising from its rapidly declining population. Director of Information at the State House, Abiodun Olandunjoy, confirmed for the Nigerian side that the partnership will include a special visa category for highly skilled, innovative, and talented young Nigerians wishing to live and work in Kisarazu. Artisans and other blue-collar workers willing to upskill will also benefit from the special dispension visa. Similar arrangements are anticipated for Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique, providing structured pathways for professional development while supplying Japan with needed workforce talent. Japan faces an aging population with nearly 30% of its citizens aged 65 and above, and fewer than 60 working-age individuals per 100 retirees. This demographic shift has intensified the country's need for foreign labor to support key sectors such as technology, manufacturing, agriculture, and healthcare. I'm going to stop you right there. All right, Japan is pretty far ahead in technology, and I don't think they can really gain anything from any kind of cultural exchange with the countries they have chosen in that regard. And in addition to this also comes in with what I was saying about Europe and the United States. If you import foreign labor to try and subsidize the fact that you don't have enough national-born babies for your citizens, you're importing people who don't give a fuck about the Japanese. They don't give a fuck about Japanese history. They don't give a fuck about Japan as a nation. Why are you importing people that will not care about you or your country to try and subsidize your aging population? It is not going to work out the way that you think it will. Have they not seen what this does? Shinzo Abe was assassinated for a reason. They needed to get in some different people here. Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba acknowledged these challenges, but emphasized that locally rooted solutions are essential for Africa's development. You're the Prime Minister of Japan, not Africa. Why the fuck do you care what's essential for Africa's development? That doesn't make any sense. That's just like when US politicians start talking about Israel on the debate stage. You're in an American debate running for an American political seat. Why the fuck are you talking about Israel, man? Stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
He said Japan is providing various cooperation and support for Africa, but first of all, Japan needs to know more about Africa. So in creating solutions together, this co-creation of TICAD 9, we focus on 3 important areas: private sector-led sustainable growth, youth and women, and regional integration and connectivity within and beyond Africa. He also appealed to African countries to assist Japan as it grapples with the challenges of a declining population and shrinking agricultural land. Does he really think he's going to get any real answers from any African politicians? Does he, I'm sure he knows about the literal decades of corruption from all of the money poured into there by Western countries, right? What the fuck? While the concept of sister cities has been declining globally, Japan is reviving it by designating 4 municipalities to strengthen bilateral relations with selected African nations. Each city has strategic or historical links to its assigned country. Kizarazu hosted the Nigerian contingent for the COVID-19 delayed 2020 Tokyo Olympics, while Nagai, Sanjo, and Imabari were paired with Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique to promote cultural and economic ties. Each city has strategic or historical links to its assigned country, and they talk about one that has a quote-unquote historical link from 5 years ago, by the way. And the other ones, they're just like, oh yeah, we're promoting cultural ties. So what is the link with those ones? Although Japan has not explained why only these 4 African countries were chosen, local authorities anticipate that the hometown designations will boost city populations and support regional revitalization. I wonder what kind of backhanded deals were made with the corrupt governments, man. The move is part of Japan's strategy to enhance its influence in Africa amid growing Chinese engagement on the continent. I'm just a fucking cartoon fox, and even I know Japan is multiple decades late for this. By linking municipalities directly with African nations, Japan seeks to establish grassroots connections, promote two-way manpower exchanges, and position itself as a long-term partner in Africa's development. Prime Minister Ishiba also announced a $5.5 billion investment package in Africa at TICAD 9, highlighting private sector-led sustainable growth, youth and women empowerment, and regional integration as core pillars. If you guys are saying that you have a labor crisis and that your aging population needs new labor because there's not enough children of the Japanese people to be able to support the aging population, and so you're importing foreign workers to help that aging population, why in the fuck, where are you getting the $5.5 billion? If you're claiming a labor crisis and you're going to have an issue supporting the older generations, why are you dumping $5.5 billion into other countries? This doesn't make any logical sense. Benefits for Africa. According to Ola Dunjoye, the 4 cities will foster a foundation for two-way exchanges for manpower development that will add value to the economic growth of Japan, Nigeria, and the other 3 African nations. Local authorities hope that the designations will increase the population of their cities, contributing to their regional revitalization efforts. Oh boy. For the African countries involved, the initiative offers access to training, professional opportunities, and strengthened economic ties with Japan. The program is expected to facilitate skills transfer, manpower development, and bilateral cooperation that can support local development initiatives. Nigeria's charge d'affaires and acting ambassador to Japan, Mrs. Florence Akinyemi Adesuke, and Kizarazu Mayor Yoshikuni Watanabe received the official certificate from the Japanese government. Through this structured program, Japan aims to address domestic labor shortages, promote municipal revitalization, and reinforce strategic partnerships with Africa, creating a model for sustainable bilateral engagement and human resource development. It says, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared that Nigeria's ascent to its rightful place among nations has begun, assuring citizens abroad that reforms are stabilizing the economy and opening new opportunities. The president spoke during an interactive session with members of the Nigerian community in Japan, held on the sidelines of the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Tinubu said his administration was determined to reverse negative trends and turn the country into a land of prosperity for citizens at home and abroad. All I want to do is assure you that things are stable, the economy is stabilized, opportunity is immense, people are coming back, we are reversing medical tourism in every way that we could, and I can give you the assurance we are seeing the beginning of Nigeria rising, he said to Applause. If a country like Japan told me that I could just send any of my citizens in my country to Japan and they would get benefits for being there, I'd be like, hell yeah, you guys are gonna get so much free shit. The president urged Nigerians in the diaspora to contribute to national development, stressing that while living abroad is a personal choice, the country needs their skills, resources, and ideas. For the economic growth and opportunity that is available in Nigeria, don't stay away. Your contribution is very much needed. If you stay away, who will build it? He asked. I mean, there's always Mr. Beast, right? Tinubu also called on Nigerians abroad to project a positive image of their homeland, warning that poor comments and negative reflections will not help the growth of Nigeria. Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, John Eno, told the gathering that the administration's reforms had drawn international recognition, citing WTO Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's recent commendation of Nigeria's policy direction. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Mohammed Ali Pate, highlighted growing cooperation with Japan and other partners in public health and finance. Executive Vice Chair of Naseni, Khalil Halilu, revealed that Nigeria had received more than 1,000 global applications for investment in its technology and industrial sectors, with over $2 billion already committed and new factories set to open in partnership with Japanese firms. Brother, what? Who is saying I need to invest in Nigeria's technology sector? Who is saying that? What the hell? From the private sector, Owando PLC's group CEO, Wale Tinubu, praised the liberalization of the exchange rate and fuel subsidy removal, saying the reforms had boosted government revenues, foreign investment, and growth across oil, mining, telecommunications, and small enterprises. Nigeria's charge d'affaires in Tokyo, Florence Akinyemi Adesuke, hailed the contributions of Nigerians in Japan, while acknowledging the challenges caused by immigration breaches by a few. The president of the Nigerian Union in Japan, Emeka Egbogoda, described Tinubu's presence at TCAD 9 as a source of pride and pledged the community's support for his vision of a prosperous, technology-driven Nigeria. The meeting ended with a renewed sense of partnership between the government and its citizens abroad, as Tinubu reaffirmed his commitment to ensuring that every Nigerian has a role in the country's progress. Nigerians have been kicking ass in petrochem engineering for a while, so there's probably a good number of investors. Yeah, like fucking the industrial section. That makes sense. Nigeria actually has a growing tech sector. You heard they just discovered something called the wheel. Fuck you. Given the vast geographical and historical distance between the two nations, these influences often manifest in entertainment, sports, music, fashion, and community building efforts. Below, I'll outline key areas drawing from documented examples. While some claimed ancient connections exist in popular discourse, they remain largely speculative and unsubstantiated. Ancient connections exist! We was Japanese and shit!
That's right!
Nigerians have enriched Japanese variety shows, comedy, and television through charismatic personalities who blend humor, language play, and cross-cultural appeal. Bobby Ologun, born in Ibadan, Nigeria in 1968, Ologun moved to Japan in the 1990s to work for his father's trading company. He rose to fame on the TV program Sanma's Super Karakuri TV, where his comedic skits exploited humorous misunderstandings of Japanese language and customs, becoming a staple of 1990s to 2000s variety programming. The style popularized foreigners' perspectives in Japanese media, influencing how cultural outsiders are portrayed. Ologun also narrated shows like Yuwa Nanishi ni Nippani, and voiced characters in video games such as in Shin Gokutsuji Ichizoku Bonu Kaiho, despite controversies, e.g., assault incidents in 2006 and 2020 leading to TV bans. Holy fuck! His work helped to normalize diverse representations in Japanese pop culture. Fuck! Andy Ologun, Bobby's younger brother, also Nigerian-born, followed a similar path into entertainment and combat sports, appearing in TV shows and fights, further amplifying Nigerian visibility in Japanese media. Other Nigerians, like Ikenna Nwenke, a student who gained national fame in 2021 for returning a lost wallet, having contributed to positive stereotypes of honesty and community involvement, earning police commendations and media spotlight. Bro, if I was a black person and I found like a lost wallet, and I went to the police like, hey bro, someone lost their wallet, so I'm gonna give it to you guys. And then suddenly I was getting like lauded with police commendations and media spotlights. I'd be like, bro, I just returned the wallet, man. That's like what any normal person would do. What do you mean? That's like, oh my God. I don't even know if I could say what it sounds like, because then people will be like, this is what Kirsche thinks. But it's like, holy fuck, actually being treated like a lower level of sentience. It's insanity.
What y'all call nice, I call reverse racism. Let's be overly nice to the black man.
He wasn't kidding when he said individual contributions. You did what any normal person would do. We didn't expect that of you. Have some awards. That is so bad. That's so fucking bad. As a Romanian, you'd have kept it. Holy shit. I cannot believe what I'm reading. Oh my God. Kind of based of the Japanese. Japan isn't as politically correct. I know they're not as politically correct, but that's still a wild fucking thing to read. I feel fucking broken. I feel so, that's so racist. Like, unironically. Returns a wallet. Wow, I didn't realize you were built so different from what we perceive. I have contributed to positive stereotypes of honesty and community. Wow, I didn't know your people were capable of that. Time to give you awards. That's so fucking wild, man. Thank you, Grok. Thank you, Grok. So they have music and dance as well. The rise of Afro beats and African-inspired music in Japan owes much to Nigerian promoters, artists, and diaspora communities, including vibrant rhythms and fostering hybrid genres. Katimi Ai, a half Nigerian, half Japanese DJ and producer born and raised in Tokyo, Ai initially identified more with her Japanese side, but began exploring her Nigerian roots through music after a formative trip to New York. Oh no, not New York. Her style fuses Afro house, Afro bass, techno, pop, hip hop, R&B, and jazz, with releases like TMBT 2019, which is Take Me Back to 2019, on the African Tales label, which emphasizes African culture. By incorporating her black heritage into sets and collaborations, months, she promotes awareness of African talent in Japan's insular music scene, aspiring to perform in Nigeria and work with global artists like Beyonce. What does she mean, aspiring to perform in Nigeria? What prevents you from performing there? Afrobeats promotion, Nigerian-led initiatives have sparked festivals and scenes. For instance, the 2025 Afro Jam Festival in Japan, billed as the country's first major Afrobeats event, was organized by promoters like SFL Artist and featured Nigerian headliners such as Rima and Ruger, alongside Ghanaian and Jamaican acts. This has popularized Afrobeats among Japanese youth. Labels like NAF Connect, based in Japan, actively project Nigerian artists into the local market, enhancing cultural ties through music exchanges. Is NAF Connect run by a different colored African fish to be the foil to Sakana? We got FaZe and NAF Connect. Dance instruction. British Nigerian dancer Yinka Oshitelu has taught Afrobeat moves to Japanese students, spreading Nigerian dance culture through workshops and influencing local hip-hop scenes. Nigerians and those of Nigerian descent have impacted Japanese professional sports, particularly in combat, baseball, and soccer, bringing athletic diversity and international flair. And they mention Bobby here again, Andy Oligan, Louis Okoye, Adu Anaiwu, Mandy Sekiguchi. These athletes have helped diversify Japan's sports landscape, where foreign talent is increasingly valued. Nigerian aesthetics have inspired fashion projects in Japanese fashion and art. The UMI1 brand and the Wafrika project, led by a Cameroonian artist named Sergei Mwangyu, initiative creates kimonos inspired by West African patterns. I loved samurai shampoo. Sports like basketball? No, baseball. Community and cultural exchange here. Nigerian communities in areas like Tokyo's Kabuchiko have established businesses, bars, and events, including Nigerian food, music, and social vibes to urban Japan. And then they talk about the recent diplomatic stuff we just read. Speculative, historical, and cultural links. Here we go. Popular discussions highlight similarities like respect for elders in both societies, name resemblance, e.g. Edo as a Nigerian tribe and Japanese historical period. Okay, that's a reach. That's a reach that Japan had an Edo period and Nigeria had a tribe at some point named the Edo tribe. And claimed genetic ties via Y-DNA haplogroups. Where are the sources? Respect is highly valued. Is there a mysterious ancient link between Nigerians and Japanese? It's from Reddit. Oh boy. It's using Reddit as a source. There's a Medium link here too, but it doesn't have any information. However, these are largely coincidental or unsubstantiated. No rigorous studies confirm ancient migrations or direct influences. Comparative works like those by Japanese historian Watsuji Tetsuro and Nigerian Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka explore philosophical parallels but do not establish causal contributions. Yasuke, the 16th century African samurai, is often cited in African-Japanese history, but reliable sources trace his origins to Mozambique, not Nigeria. And the sources for this are 2 tweets talking about Yasuke, who is actually not a samurai. In summary, Nigerian contributions are most evident in modern pop culture and exchanges driven by migration and globalization. There's the word. As ties strengthen, evidenced by events like TCAD 9 in 2025, these influences are likely to grow. I wish to slur! What the fuck? Thank you, dear Grok. I appreciate you.